Hello, Composition 1 students. I wanted to make a quick video about the research process paper. I got a lot of positive feedback about the video that I made about the last essay you turned in, essay 4. And so I've been getting some questions about the research process paper so far this week. I expect a lot of people will have the same questions, so I just thought I would make a video kind of explaining some of that before you all had questions about it. First off, I will note that, the stuff that you need to be doing in Essay 5, the research process paper, and Essay 6, the research paper, are the same things you're learning about in your reading and that you're being quizzed over. That was also the case with Essay 4, but so far I've only graded a couple of the essays turned in for Essay 4. Yeah. And almost all of them have gotten C's. That's not necessarily a bad thing. A C is obviously still passing. It's just average. But like those individuals weren't using signal phrases to integrate their sources, for example. They were only using parentheticals. And they weren't even using parentheticals everywhere they used information from the sources. They were just kind of putting it at the beginning or the end of the information. And so, that's something that was on the quizzes. That's something that we've read about is using signal phrases. That's something that was explicitly on the rubric. So make sure that when you are reading about things, like, for example, the Boolean indicators, using and or not, in your research, make sure that you're then integrating those things into the assignment. I don't ever have you read anything and quiz you over anything that you're not going to use. So if I'm having you read it and then I'm quizzing you over it, obviously that's important. I'm sure that you realized that with like the sentence stuff at the beginning of the semester too. You weren't just learning sentence stuff to pass a quiz, you were learning that so you could do well on your paper. So, so don't just look that information up to take the quiz and then let it like leave your brain, because that is not going to help you out in the essays. Okay. Let's see. That said, the research process paper. I think this paper is a little bit confusing because it's not a research paper, right? Your research paper is Essay 6. Essay 5 is kind of prep for the research paper. Essay 5 is describing the research process that you are undergoing while you're kind of out there hunting for database sources for Essay 6. Why do I make you write Essay 5? Why do I make you do a research process paper? I think that for a lot of students coming out of high school who've done research papers before, they've maybe like kind of figured out what their points are, and then they go out and they find the first 3 sources that say things that look like they might go with their paper, and they use those 3 sources. That's not the way that we do research in college. We research broadly. We see everything that's out there. We let everything that is out there inform the shape that our paper is taking. The research process and the writing process kind of feed off of one another, like when I'm starting a research paper, I kind of have an idea of what my topic is, but I go do research before I even start on my outline. And so that's what you all are doing too, right? I'm actually forcing you to go research in depth before you even turn in an outline for the research paper. So, I also think it's important that you get experience using the library's databases. You'll be required to use these in college, especially if you're getting a 4-year degree. You'll be using databases often, like if you're going to a state university after this. And like if you go to even like Wichita State is going to have, 700 or 800 databases. We have like about 100, which I know seems really overwhelming. But then if you go to like K-State or KU, you're probably looking at over 1,000 databases. And so, so understanding that each database does something a little bit different, and that some of them are going to give you different types of sources and better returns for certain topics than others are. That's an important lesson to learn. And knowing that just because one database works for one class and one topic, that same database might not work for something else. That's something that I want you guys to kind of understand. So for the research process paper, you do not have to cite any sources. at all. You might mention a title or something of an article to kind of tell me what you're finding, but you have no in-text citations, you have no works cited page. You're simply describing the process you're going through on the databases. Now, that first paragraph is going to be about the development of your topic as well as your keywords, right? What keywords are you using and why? Whereas as you get into your body paragraphs, that will be discussing your searches on, I believe, 5 databases. One of those databases could be Google Scholar, but other than Google Scholar, the other 4 need to be accessed using your Butler credentials through the Butler Library. There were library help videos in, I believe, module 10, I think, or maybe module 11. I believe the page was labeled library help videos. Those will be helpful to you in searching the databases. Let's see. So you're just really going through searching the databases and describing what those searches are like. You might not like every single database you get on, you might realize that maybe one of the databases will be helpful to you in a different type of class, but not helpful to you in this class, and that's fine. Like, that's what I want you figuring out. In the end, Essay 6, your research paper, which is not due for like a month, I think it's due like December 11th, that paper eventually needs to have 3 database sources, right? All cited in text and included on a works cited page. Total, you need 4 sources in that paper, but only 3 of those need to be from the databases. That last one could be from the general web. Let's see, I'm trying to think what else I want to say about that. While you're working on the research process paper, you might find some sources you want to use in your research paper, and I would encourage you, download those, save the hyperlink so you can go back to those later. While writing your research process paper, though, maybe you're not going to have a lot of luck. Maybe you'll only have one, maybe you'll only find 1 or 2. I'm so sorry, my baby is getting very fussy about this situation. And that is fine. If you only find a few, maybe just 1 or 2 this time that you think might work for your paper, that's okay. Maybe that will tell you that maybe you need to change your topic a little bit, Although honestly, I'll say more often than not what students find is that actually the databases are kind of overwhelming, and if anything, they maybe need to limit their topic a little bit more. All right, since my baby is getting very fussy and there is no one here to help me with her, I should probably start to wrap up this video. Your paper is not due, until a week from today. So if you have questions, do message me. But just to answer you one last time, no in-text citations in that paper, no works cited. You're just describing your experience on 5 databases. Make sure you put the names of the databases in your paper. This, like the self-evaluation, is a paper that I will give you a 100 on if you hit all of those requirements. It's actually not hard to get a 100 on this paper. If you paragraph it, if you proofread it, and if you just describe getting on the databases and give me a couple of details about each one. Don't just list which ones you got on and that's it. So if you've been struggling in this class a little bit, this could be a chance to really bring up that essay grade. Essays, I think, are like 65% of our grade in this course. So getting to 100, if you've been making C's on papers, could really help you out. This paper does not require a lot of critical thinking. Just get on the databases, describe what it was like to get on the databases, describe developing your keywords and your topic sum, and at the end, evaluate what you've learned. I think that's it. I'll make another video later in the week, probably Friday, maybe Saturday, walking you through that rubric. Make sure you watch that, especially if you're shooting for an A or a B. The rubrics are pretty specific, and I do always use them to grade. I think, one last thing. If you do make a C on Essay 4 and you're really bummed about it, then you do get a revision at the end of the semester. Everyone gets 1 revision. You can pick 1 paper to revise. I think that's it. If you've turned in a late paper, if you turned an Essay 3 late, I'm going to get to those this week. Late papers always go on the bottom of my stack. And As you can see, I have tendonitis in my hand right now, so it's been a little difficult for me to get to grading, but I am trudging right on through it. So if you have questions, as always, let me know. I hope this video was helpful, but if you still have questions, please message me. I'm going to go try to get my baby in a better room. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good week. Bye-bye.